What is up, everybody? This is Gundai, and today we are looking at a certain prophecy that was given by a certain man of God, Prophet Blessing Chiza, who is based in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. You know, we are having a lot of prophecies. These days, we're actually having a lot of prophecies from different men of God saying a lot of things about COVID-19, about the rapture, about the vaccine, about all kinds of things. So right now, we are going to be listening to what Prophet Blessing Chiza said about this whole thing. Let's hear what he said.
Now countries, how can I speak to nations of the world as a prophet? Countries and nations, the Lord says, that will pray and respect the power of the church and men of God and their prayers. They shall come out of COVID-19 faster than others.
Did you hear that?
Let's clap hands for that. They will come up.
So do you agree with that one? I'd like to hear what you guys think about this one. Do you agree with it or you don't agree? If you don't agree, please let us know the reason so that we can also discuss this whole thing in the comments box. I'll be very happy to listen to what you guys think.
But presidents who are banning church gatherings together with beer halls and nightclubs at the same time are lacking revelation.
You know what? Whenever people start talking about revelation, it becomes a different story altogether. Because when you talk about revelation is not something that everybody has. You know, so you might say all kinds of things. You can attack the man, you can disagree with him, but if he's talking about revelation, it becomes something that is different. But when it comes to what he said earlier, where he said those who respect the church or who respect who are not banning church gatherings, they are going to come out of COVID-19. Some sort of sense. Why? Because if you look, there are some countries in the world, like even in Africa. In Africa right now, there are countries in Africa where they have not banned anything, they have not banned anyone, they have not done a lockdown. They are just enjoying themselves. What I've been hearing, someone was saying, when you get to that country, when you are on the airport, when you get there, they will be telling you that there will be bins, like somewhere around the airport. So they tell you remove your mask and then you put it in the bin and then you go around without any mask. You know, I don't know if this country is in some kind of a time capsule. Probably they are still in 2018 or 19 or going back. I don't know how they are doing it, but it seems as if those like that country, when you go there, churches, they are going on as normal. They have not stopped churches. Everything is okay. And what I heard is that the president actually said that we prayed for the country, because I heard it is alleged that they had 3 days of prayer and fasting, and the president said we need to pray for this country and pray that this pandemic should just leave our country. And when he did that, he said, I declare this country is now free from this pandemic. So we are no longer going to be doing anything else. Everything is back to normal as if it is in 2005 or 2010 or something. No masks, nothing. They are just living their lives. I was watching a certain video recently, and I was sharing with some people saying, look at these guys. They are actually enjoying themselves. They are going to stadiums. Stadiums will be full to capacity. If you go to churches, they will be full to capacity. No mask, no social distances. If you go there, you can see some even musicians. They are holding their shows with no problem. But we have not heard of any case of the virus, or I don't know. If you know about the country, let me know in the comments box. And if you know anything about it, I know some of you guys might be even staying in that country, so you might be knowing more. Let's hear what the prophet said. But I think it's actually making sense, because this country said we prayed and they declared that the country is no longer having this pandemic. They are now free from the pandemic and everything is okay. So probably it makes some sense. But let's continue to hear what the man said here.
Listen to me, kings of the earth, presidents. That is a big spiritual error that you are making. God said, I will confuse all those countries that are doing that, and the cases of COVID will continue increasing.
So his argument now, he is saying, God is saying, you are, in other words, you are equating, these countries are equating church gatherings and beer halls. It's like they are saying they are the same. You understand? So he is saying, the church is not like a beer hall. So, in other words, they should allow the church to pray and do their things, and then they should ban beer halls and any other gathering. But the church, they should not. Some of these things I've been hearing someone asking. So if we do that, does it mean that if you go to church, the virus will be like, okay, yes, I understand, you're in church. No, spreading. I won't be spreading because you're in church. But after you come out of the church, then the virus will be like, okay, now you're out of the church. Let's continue. I don't know, but if we are looking at it, like I usually say, when you look at this one, there are two perspectives. You can be looking at it from a spiritual perspective, and you can be looking at it from a like a carnal. I don't know if you say carnal, a way of looking at things, like looking at it the physical way. So there's the spiritual and the physical. So looking at it the spiritual way, it's very possible for us to say, if you go to church, somehow supernaturally the virus will not be spreading because you are in church. But if you look at it from the way everyone and everything is being talked about, we can just simply say no, it doesn't happen that way. But if you go to that country that I talked about, if you look at that country, they just said we don't have any corona in this country and their life is normal. No people are dying. I don't know if there are any people who are dying, but there are no people who are dying. No cases, no one. They're just living their lives. So probably it might
because they are equating my house, the church of God, with beer halls.
You see now?
They are saying the church of God is not an essential service yet.
All right, so this is where he's going. He is now saying the church, you are trying to say the church is not an essential service. So in other words, he's saying the church is an essential service, just like all these other things, I've been seeing, if you check, even in aeroplanes, I saw a certain picture where there was some people who were on a queue. They wanted to get into a plane. They were doing social distancing. They made sure that there's social distancing between them. But 15-20 minutes later, when they are in the plane, they are just like everyone is sitting when they are supposed to be sitting, and there is no social distancing. So maybe he's just saying, we are saying the aeroplanes, all these these businesses, they are essential services. But when it comes to church, we are now saying it's not an essential service. But if you say these people will be sitting, if you go to church, you won't be doing social distancing. If you check, even in planes, even in buses, in taxis, people won't be doing social distancing. They will be pegged in there. So he is actually bringing up a point. Let me know what you think, if you agree with it.
COVID is spiritual and it needs the church.
You see now?
It needs the prayers of the saints.
Which makes a lot of sense. Personally, I actually agree with what he's saying, that it needs the prayers. I know some of you might be saying, I don't believe in God. Okay, that's fine. That's you. But for people who believe in God, personally, I believe in God. I believe that all these problems that the world is facing, it requires people to pray. And for people to pray, they need to be given, the opportunity, the chance to pray. So that's what I think. I would like to hear what you guys think about this one. But this
government must close beer halls and nightclubs and allow churches to meet with social distance, wearing face masks and sanitization.
You see now, some of you might be saying, why is he saying that? The virus will spread. He's saying they should observe the COVID-19 regulations and all those things that are said we should be doing. So he's just saying they need to be doing what is supposed to be done. Just like when you go into a bank, or when you get into a pharmacy, or when you get into a wherever you go, even if you're in a taxi or a bus, you will be masking up, sanitizing and everything.
Hear me, presidents of the world. Allow churches to gather if you want COVID cases to go down.
So this is his message. He's saying you need to allow churches to go on for this thing to go away.
If there are churches that have got big space and big crowds, allow them to use those big venues and space their people. And you will see COVID cases coming down as they pray, because I know you think you are educated. I know you have got advice from health practitioners. I know you can argue, but watch this space. Continue banning churches with nightclubs, and we will see if we will come out soon out of this COVID. If you are arguing, I give you up to March.
Hey, now this is scary now. I can assure you, when you hear people who are prophets saying some of these things, I know some of you might be saying, I don't believe in prophets. That's fine. That's okay. But, some of these people, when they are speaking, sometimes if you listen to what these people will be saying, you learn quite a number of things.
In April.
So he's saying, we'll give you up to March and April. You will see. And we are not yet in March or April, but we're in January. And especially in a country like Zimbabwe, people are dying. Even in South Africa, people are dying. So listen to what he's saying. He's saying if you continue banning churches, you're going to be in trouble. There was a time when churches were starting to be allowed and the COVID cases were sort of, going down, and life was sort of getting back to normal just around as we're getting into November and December. And then, I don't know what happened, but the cases started increasing, and then they said, let's ban. And the cases are keeping on increasing. So this is his argument.
Continue banning churches. All nations that are going to allow churches are going to come to worship, are going to come out faster than those that are equating Baals and churches together. You governments, you need the church of God now than ever before. You cannot fight this thing without men of God, without prayer of the servants of God, without the prayers of the church of God. COVID will confuse you, it will ravish you, because it's a strong diabolic disease.
So you see, whenever you hear a man of God or a preacher or someone saying you need the church, when he says the church, most of the time he won't be saying his church specifically, and he won't be saying this church specifically. He will be talking about the believers. You understand? The believers, whether you are Roma, whether you are Pentecostal, whether you are Apostle Shwing, whether you are whatever you are, whatever you believe in, as long as you believe that there's God who needs to be, worshipped, that is what he's talking about. Yes, we have got so many differences, when it comes to these things. Some will be saying, hey, this one is a false, whether you're a false prophet or not, whatever it is that you believe in, that is what he's just trying to say. He's saying the government needs to give the people to pray, because he said it's a spiritual thing. So people need to get spiritual when you are dealing with something that is spiritual. You understand? So before he starts saying, hey, he only wants money. No, he's not just talking about his church. He's talking about all churches, whether it's Post-Story, it's ZCC, it's whatever church that you're going to. That is what he's just saying. He's just saying people need to be allowed to go and pray and worship their God. That's what needs to be done.
I rebuke you as a prophet of God in honor of your offices. But it's high time for you to change presidents in Africa and in the world and understand spiritual things. You must get a revelation. And you are equating a church to a Baal, and you say we ban churches and we ban Baals. People from gathering. You think the church of God is like a Baal. You would rather ban people going to Baals than banning people from worshiping God in such a crucial time. And you politicians in Zimbabwe, you MPs in the nation of Zimbabwe, these are things that you need to go within the parliament, not debating funny stuff that you are debating.
Yes, sometimes some of these guys, they debate some very, very weird and funny things. So he's saying you need to take this, to the parliament and talk about these things.
It's time for you to fight for the church of God to be opened. It's time for you to fight for the house of God to be allowed to worship.
You see, this one has got nothing to do with politics, like politics as in ZANU-PF or MDC. He's just saying people should be allowed to worship God. So I will give you a link in the comments box so that you can see this whole prophecy that he was given. But what I just want to hear from you is, do you agree with what he's saying? Do you think churches should be allowed to go and worship, or do you think churches and beer halls are the same and they should not be allowed to function? Let me know in the comments box, and I will see you in the next video.